Okay, so open it up. So just make sure you work through them. One more time before I start, and I'll review this the day of, but then you're probably not thinking, don't want to listen. But the directions are very important. If you just go back a little bit, okay? Complete answers. Let the mark values for each question guide you in your answering. That is still true to this day. Show all your work. Be sure to include units in your final answer. Use your formula sheet and your study sheet. Provide explanations and justifications. Use a well-organized method to communicate your answer. And here are some words that you might, this is always going to be there. So if you're reading a question and it says state, state is very common. All you need is a word, a sentence, a number without explanation. You don't need to explain if it says state, right? So, boom, that's it. If it says identify or choose, guess what? You're going to have to choose, right, the appropriate answer from a given list of choices. Okay? If it says describe or explain, you may use words, symbols, diagrams, charts, anything you want to clearly show what you're thinking. That's when you see this. They're not just random. They are very particular as to how they start their question. Justify and support is similar, to be honest, but an explanation, information, or evidence that shows why you chose your answer. So let's say, why is a rectangle a parallelogram? You would, or is it a parallelogram? Justify. You would say yes. Why? It's got two pairs of parallel sides. Boom. That's it. Justify. Maybe you want to do a little diagram. Okay? If it says sketch, guess what? You need to sketch. You can also write. Watch this. I always chuckle at this. A reasonable neat picture or diagram. It doesn't have to be drawn to scale. That shows or explains an idea, concept, or method. And what this is the most important one. If you want full marks, if it says calculate, you have to calculate. Okay? You have to use a formula, right? Algebraic equation, some sort of numerical calculation to solve the problem. It means show your work. Okay? So these are the words that I'm going to kind of highlight as we go through this. So let's start. And I'm going to go faster than you would probably like me to go, but that's just the way it is. Yeah. So Jin is purchasing his first house. State one additional one-time cost to consider when purchasing the house. Down payment. It says state, correct? Just down payment. Lawyer fees. Don't give me more than one answer on the exam, please. Right? Just one answer, because if you contradict yourself, it's gonna backfire. Lawyer fees, inspection fees. You want to be specific, right? Moving costs. Anything else? Anybody have a good one that you want to share? You're good? Okay. What would not be a one-time? Property taxes, insurance, that would be wrong. Okay? So if you want, just cross it here. The opposite of one-time is ongoing. Okay? Ongoing would be property tax, insurance, utility bill, etc. If you, yeah. Yes, that's a good one. I will add that. That's actually, to be honest, that's the scariest one of all. That's the biggest amount you're going to spend when you move. Okay. So a couple of these are actually good ones for what's an advantage of renting. If it ever asked you, you could say you don't have to have a large down payment, right? You don't need to hire a lawyer. You don't need to pay land transfer tax. That would be a good one for an advantage of renting, okay? So sometimes these morph into, you can use these for other questions, all right? So that's it, 1 mark. It should take you less than a minute to answer this one, to be honest. On the exam, less than a minute, in my opinion. Here we go. Here's that word identify, right? You're gonna have to choose from a list. 2 advantages of renting a house compared to buying a house from the list. I'm just gonna put an R for the advantages, right? So building equity, that's not an advantage. Lower initial startup cost, that would definitely be an advantage of renting. Ability to renovate, you can't renovate really when you're renting. You can't do much. Move or leave whenever you want without penalty, that would be a renting scenario. Hello? Insurance is cheaper? Yes, it's cheaper. Why is it cheaper, guys, if you had to justify? Why is renting insurance, tenant insurance cheaper? Anyone? Yeah.
Because what you pay goes to the landlord.
Okay. Let's just dive. What does tenant insurance, what does it cover if you make a claim? It only covers your stuff, right? Only your perils. When you do home insurance, it's the building and your stuff. That's why home insurance is more. All right? Okay. Not responsible for any damages. Is that true? You are responsible for damages under renting. You're still responsible for damages. Okay, so that would not be. So your choices could have been one of the, like 2 out of the 3 could have been, you just got to make sure you write them down here. Okay, so lower startup costs and insurance is cheaper. And of course you could have, I don't like the move and leave whenever you want without penalty. I really don't like that one. But because it's one of the items on this list, you could have picked it. Because nowadays you sign a 1-year lease, usually when you're renting. So if you move, you do have to pay a bit of a penalty or a subletting cost. But anyways, let's keep going. So we're home finance still. Okay. So David took out a mortgage for $259,000 for a new home. He has arranged financing at 4% over 20 years. Here's your amortization period. It shouldn't surprise you. It says calculate the monthly payment. 2 marks. So watch out, it's 2 marks. It's usually more than just, this is the formula for payment. It's the price minus down times table rate over 1,000. There's no down payment, is there? It's just $259,000. I'm going to go minus 0, so you see that there's no down payment. Your table rate you get from the table. I hope that if there's a giant table there that you know that you have to grab a number from that table. Yeah?
Do we have to write out the formulas for these things?
No. You do not need to write out the formulas, but you need to show work, mathematical. See how it says calculate? It usually means some work needs to be happening there. They don't care about whether or not you write out the formula. Good question. So 4%, 20 years, that's the 604. Okay, 604. And in this case, this, what do we call this part right here? That is actually our mortgage. We also call that the loan when it's vehicle finance. Mortgage/loan, okay? In this case, you're not taking anything away, so the entire price is that is your mortgage, essentially. So you multiply that I don't have the key. I have the key here somewhere. That's 1564.36. Hello. Okay, thanks. Page 3 in the pink booklet. So when you do this, you get 1564.36. And this is what the breakdown is. If I look at the key from the province, they would give you 1 mark for just grabbing that 6.04 and another mark for correctly calculating that answer here. Rounded. If you make a rounding mistake, you would lose half a mark. Did I tell you about rounding? They only take it off once in the entire exam. So if you mess up on rounding at the beginning, then I don't worry about it for the rest of the exam. Even though you may have rounded incorrectly the entire exam, we only take off 1/2 mark once. Okay, so that's kind of nice. Calculate the interest of the first month's payment. You remember this one? Is it total interest or just interest lowercase I? Lowercase I. It's this one. And I told you to go mortgage, then take your interest rate divided by 100 because it's a percentage. All of that gets divided by 12 for the first month. My mortgage is $259,000. The interest rate, if I divide it by 100, is 0.04. And then you divide that by 12. And that gives you 863. Oh, you can't see that. Sorry, guys. There you go. Interest rate divided by 12. And that is, please let me know if that happens. You get 863.33. I am told, based on the key here, if you show this part, if you show it, you get a mark. And if you actually get the right answer, you would get another mark for that. So you do get, like when it's calculated in particular, you will get marks for work if you do it correctly. Let's keep going. Page 4. And again, I can't go too slow because I would like to go through this today, okay? Jury wants to purchase homeowners insurance. Okay, so it's not tenant insurance, it's homeowners insurance. And the house is valued at $230,000, which is located in area 4. So you do need to know what the house is valued, where it is. Okay, you want a standard policy. What's the opposite of standard? Is comprehensive, right? Or not the opposite, but another version would be comprehensive. You want a $500 deductible versus a $200 deductible, right? So everything kind of has its alternative. Calculate the total, there it is again, calculate the total cost of homeowners insurance. Use the Manitoba homeowners insurance rates on the table facing this page. It's not facing, but it's on the back side of this. Okay? I'm just going to talk briefly about this table. If it's there, man, you get lots of good stuff here. What are things that affect your insurance, folks? Where you live, how much you're insuring it for, whether you're picking standard or comprehensive, whether you want a $500 deductible, right? 500 or a $200 deductible costs you more, right? So keep that in mind. Standard versus comprehensive, comprehensive costs more. Okay? So, and the more you insure it for, the more it's going to cost you. Okay. So let's. I will start with the formula. You don't have to, but insurance, if you have my formula, is table rate, right? I'm trying to remember the formula now. Table rate plus overage. What did I do here? Did I go like this? Yeah. You first do what's in the square brackets, and then you go times 1.10 if you want a $200 deductible. That's the formula I gave you. Is this the way I gave it? Is this, yeah? Thank you. If you could just, yeah, just give me like, I want it the way you have it. And remember, the formula I just made up for students. I don't necessarily use this when I do the calculation, but I think it's a good one. Okay, so square bracket first, table rate. Let's go find it. It's standard area 4, 230. So we are in area 4, and we max out. Some of you may have noticed right away. So standard, we will use 966, and we will have to pay extra because we're going past the 200,000. We're going over by $30,000. Okay, so I'm going to use both of these, 966, 472. So $966 covers the first 200,000. Then I need to pay extra, so 30,000 times, what was it again, 433? 472, thank you. Divided by 1,000. And I don't need to multiply by 1.10 because I want a $500 deductible, okay? Sorry, I was way off there, way off. So I don't need to do this part, okay? So if you want to show this, this will give you a $500 deductible by definition. So please take your time here. Do this part separately, and I will just go and find what that is. That is 141 bucks. Okay. This part right here, this part. Do that separately. Don't go plus right away. Just keep it separate. And then when you add that up, you get 1107.60. Okay. Please circle your final answers. Just, I want to mention this. It could be that one of the exams that you get that I send home has after taxes for insurance, but insurance is no longer taxed. So just don't worry about that when that happens, right? It would have been taxed 7% in the past. What are marks? Marks are like as follows, folks. You get 1 mark for getting the 966. You get another mark for grabbing the 472. So every time you grab from the table, the province gives you a mark. They give you another mark for calculating this part correctly. And then another mark for your final answer. So 4 marks in this chunk here. Okay? I'm just going to warn you. What could have been different? It could have been that they asked you, how much do you pay for the first 200,000? That's A. 966 would have been the answer. B, how much would you pay for the additional coverage? The answer would have been 141. So could they break it down? Yes, they could. But just read carefully, think through it, and see how my formula could help you there. Okay. Okay. Next. Marcia earns $52,500 annually. That means per year. Wants to buy a new house. Her monthly mortgage payment is $725. Monthly property taxes $262. Monthly heating is $215. Everything is in monthly except for what? The income. Yeah. I would divide that by 12 right away. And you get $43.75 per month. You need to have everything in monthly amounts if you want to calculate the GDSR. So it says, calculate Marcia's gross debt service ratio. One note that it will make is sometimes they ask as a decimal, sometimes they ask as a percentage. So if it's percentage, we'd multiply by 100 at the very end. If it just says decimal, just leave it, right? Don't multiply it by 100. So the GDSR is monthly, all the monthly, like the mortgage payment, plus the property taxes, plus the heating bill. It's all already a monthly amount, so we just keep it. divided by 4375, right? That income goes down here. And technically, because it doesn't say anything, you can go by 100 if you want. Okay? Percentage. So if you do the top, I think my key doesn't show me that. Just going to quickly do that. $1202.50 divided by 4375 times 100. So if you want to just show the first part, 2748 and then something times 100, so that would be 27 point, watch, when I multiply it by 100, what would that be? 27.49, right? The 5 bumps that to a 9. So that's the percentage. If you wanted it as a decimal, then just round this to 2 decimals. That'd be 0.27. Okay. So that's the calculation. Everything is monthly. Okay. Keep that in mind. That is the biggest. I can guarantee you. I think I can put $100 down. I don't have $100 right now, but that one of these will be annual amounts. I can almost guarantee you when there's a GDSR, they've almost always had a scenario where you had to divide by 12, right, to get your monthly. It could be any of the top ones here. It could be your property tax, doesn't matter, divide it by 12, get it into a monthly amount, you're good to go. Explain whether Marcia will be approved for the home mortgage. And you have to say yes because her GDSR is below 32%. You have to mention that if you want to get the marks there. It says here, note to marker, and my key, students must refer to 32%. Okay, very important. So on your study sheet, you could say GDSR. If it's 32%, if it's above it, it's bad. If it's below 32%, that's good. You will be approved. Okay, so maybe you want to have this next to the GDSR on your formula study sheet. Keep going. One energy efficient improvement that could be made on the house. State one energy efficient improvement available to homeowners. Okay, the list is extensive, right? You can upgrade windows, right? You could upgrade furnace to high efficiency. Use that word, high efficiency. High efficiency, I would say, is the way to go if you want to absolutely make sure. Sorry, what happened there? A T? It's not cool. High efficiency. You can upgrade light bulbs to LED. You can upgrade, see the word upgrade, upgrade insulation in walls, attic, etc. Okay. Anything that would save energy, anything that makes it more energy efficient. You could have automated light switches. You could have smart thermostats. But please don't say just turn the lights off or shower with cold water. I get it, it would technically save, but they want something that you just install and then it just automatically saves for you. You don't even have to think about it. Right? That's what they want. They want something that will save it for you, will do the thinking for you. Okay. That's home finance. That's it. Now we're going to probability. Keep in mind, listen carefully. This could have been, what is one thing to save electricity? If it just says save electricity, then you want to stick to the light bulbs. You want to stick to the automated switches, to timers, right? Something that's very specific to electricity. If it's heating, then you can say furnace. You can talk about windows. You can talk about insulation because all of that saves heating, okay? So what about water? If it talks about water, what would you do to save on water, to make it more efficient? Try toilets, right? Upgrade your toilets to like dual flush toilets, or replace your shower heads with more water saving shower heads. You can replace your washing machine to more a high efficiency washer, your dishwasher, any appliance that uses water. Just say, hey, upgrade it. Upgrade that thing to high efficiency, right? So just use common sense. I think you all know how to do that. I'm fairly confident. What about maintenance around the house? What are some things that, for example, on the roof, roof is a big one. Roof, because basically your whole house is under it. If the roof fails, you're gonna have a big problem. So inspecting your roof regularly is one thing that you can always mention. Make sure there's no debris, right? No branches, no leaves in the gutters, any of that. So just use common sense, and you should be fine. Okay. Probability. Josephine has 3 white, 5 blue, and 6 purple marbles in a bag. State the probability. It just says state. That means that there's not going to be a whole lot of calculating. A probability of randomly selecting a purple marble from the bag. So there's 6 purple, and this is 14, right? 6 over 14, that's it. You can just leave it like that. It doesn't say as a decimal. It doesn't say as a percentage. But why don't we practice that real quick, just in case. This would be 0.43 as a decimal, correct? What about percentage? The answer is not 43%. I want you to go back to your calculator, multiply this division by 100, and then go 42.86% it is actually. 86. The 7 bumps that 5 to a 6. So watch. If it doesn't ask for anything, this is it. You know what would save you if you make a mistake on these ones? If you were to circle this, and these are wrong, as long as you circle this is the answer, it would save you in this case. But it could also be that these two are right, but you circle the middle, and that one is wrong. It actually bites you. So, but make sure you identify your final answer. A purple marble is pulled out of the bag and not replaced. State the probability of randomly selecting another purple marble from the bag. So you used to have 6, now you have 5, right? There used to be 14, now you have 13, okay? So you go 6 minus 1 gives you 5, 14 minus 1 gives you 13. So this is your probability there. What do we call this kind of probability? Watch this. Hangman. Dependent probability. Oh, dependent. Sorry. Not a and dependent. Why? Because this event depends on what happened before it. And this is why it's dependent. This one right here. Okay? If something is not replaced, it will for sure change your total, folks. This would have guaranteed gone down to 13. Whether or not the top number, like the actual amounts, are changed, like the amount of whites, blue, or purple, depends on what has been pulled before. Okay, let's keep going. State the odds in favor of a tidal wave occurring given that the probability of this event is 3 out of 147. I want you to understand this part right here. So go to question 8. If you have a probability right here, this is favorable outcomes, i.e. tidal wave. It sounds wrong to say that's what we favor, but that's, in this case, that's the event in question, and 3 are favorable to that event. What is the bottom here? Because this is a probability, right? The probability says like this is the total number, total outcomes. Okay. We want to write the odds of a tidal wave. And so what does that mean? If it's odds of the tidal wave, it means that tidal wave will go first, and then you not getting a tidal wave will get second, right? Will be in the second spot here. And remember, odds always gets the dots. Hey, that even rhymes. So the 3, right, represents the tidal waves. So we put 3 there, and what goes on the other side? That would be wrong. That'd be a 0 right now. We take the 3 away from the 147. And remember, what do these two add up to? Your total outcomes, right? That's how you check if you're doing this right. Hey, whatever 2 numbers I put here, does it amount to the total, right? And so there you have a way to check whether or not that is right. Okay, so this is your answer right here. So out of 147 outcomes, 3 times there will be a tidal wave, 144 times there will not be a tidal wave. Okay. What about odds against? If it says odds against the tidal wave, all you'd have to do is flip this. If you already have the odds and it just says, what is it against? You just flip it. That's it. Don't be adding, subtracting. Like if you already have the odds in favor and that's asking for odds against, just flip it. Okay? Keep going. Expected value, your favorite. I can also guarantee you there'll be an expected value. That's just my, historically speaking, almost every exam has an expected value question. So let's try this. A game at a summer carnival costs $2 to play. The prize at the game is a stuffed animal valued at $10. The probability of winning the game is 27%. Okay. There's only one way to win here, by the way. So this one actually makes it a lot easier. Calculate the expected value. The word calculate tells you work is required for the game from the player's perspective. That's interesting. That's what we always do, by the way. It's always from the player's perspective. So expected value would be the probability of winning. This is going to be a number or a decimal or a fraction times the price minus the cost. That's what we call the gain. And since there is no other way of winning, because we would keep adding that, we just go minus probability that you will lose times the cost. It's just times the cost like that. Here we go. What's the probability of winning? 27%. Let's turn that into a decimal right away. That's 0.27. So it's not a fraction. You could have gone 27 over 100. Okay, guys? That is okay. But I'm just going to go 0.27 right away. Then I'm going to go $10 is what you win, but you paid $2 to play. Minus, what's the probability of losing here? What is it? 73? Yes, and I just want to make sure we understand why we took this away from 1. So I'll go 1 minus 0.27 is 0.73. So that's what goes in here. Okay. It's like 27% and 73%. These two add up to 100. Okay. Then we multiply that by 2. Let me see how many marks you would get already at this point. It says you get 2 marks for all correct substitutions here. So if every single thing that you've plugged in is correct, you get 2 marks already. Let's clean this up even more. And please don't do this all in one shot. I mean, technically your calculator could handle it. You know what? It can handle it. I told you cosine law can, right? So, but I'm going to do this in steps here. This is 216 minus 0.73 times 2. That's 146. So we go 216 minus 146. That's 0.7. What's wrong with this answer right here? It's missing 2 things. It's missing its dollar sign. And it's missing, because it's dollars, it needs to have 2 decimals. Okay, you need to plug in the 0 there. It's positive, correct? That's very important. It's positive. Positive answer. Because that means it's a good thing. From the player's perspective, it's a good thing. It says justify, so you have to say why. Justify whether the owner of the game should continue offering it at the carnival based on your answer in part A. What do you think? The answer is no. A positive, that's what you need to make reference to. A positive expected value means that the player is expected to win. This is too much already in my opinion. That'd be good enough. This would indicate a loss for owner. Okay. That shows your understanding. So I would say this, expected value on your study sheet, I would say if it's it could be either positive or negative. That's what to justify, that's what matters. This is good for player, bad for player. I don't know how else to do this. I would just say do another one. Bad for owner, for host, good for host. They have done this back and forth. They've done like from the player's perspective, from the host perspective. I think just the last one was like that. I can't get a hold of that one just yet. They haven't posted June 2024, but I have January 2024, so I will give you that later to try. You got it? You're paying attention. That's good. There's a lot of good stuff in here that I can bring out as we go through it. Because just answering it is good, but you want more than just that. We're good? Keep going. Oh, this is a nice freebie here for you. State the probability of 13 out of 50 as a decimal and percent. You grab your calculator. You can't believe it, right? You're going to overthink it. You're like, what? So this is it as a decimal. Multiply that by 100 just to make sure. 26%. Moving on. I'm not even going to explain this one. Let's keep going. So if you get those freebies, take it and go. Okay? A group of 30 students were given 4 choices and asked to choose their favorite color. The results are as follows. Remember, we're still in probability. The teacher states that if I choose a student at random, there's a 25% probability that their favorite color is green. The teacher's claim is an example of theoretical probability. Justify the teacher's claim. We're going to do a little bit of math here before we know for sure. So let's add this up. 9 and 12 is 21. Plus 9 is 30, right? So we've got 30 total. Do you remember what theoretical probability is what should happen? Based on possible outcomes. So a die, there's 6, right? And so forth. What's the other one? Experimental. Let's write this down. Experimental probability. This is based on what actually happened. Experiments or trials. Okay? So let's see here. In theory, what's the theoretical probability of someone choosing red when it comes to this scenario? How many possibilities are there? How many colors? There are 4 choices. So in theory, it would be 1 out of 4 colors. And that is 0.25. That's 25%. Oh, sorry. Green. Yeah, green. So what is it? The experimental probability in this case would be of green would be what? 3 out of 30. And what's 3 out of 30? That'd be 0.1. That's 10%. Was the teacher correct? So this is what actually happened here. Is it true that if you ask a random student that it will be 25%? No, because 3 of those students chose green. Only 3. So the theoretical probably doesn't match here because this is what you have to go by as a teacher. So I'll just say this. The teacher is incorrect since he or she would have to use experimental probability to predict this correctly. All of that just for 1 mark? Yeah, I think that was a bit overkill, I know. Go ahead. Go ahead, sorry. Okay, let's keep going. Choose the letter that best completes the statement below. Sharon would like to borrow a specific book from a local library. The odds against the book being available are 1 to 99. The probability that the book of being available is one of these 2. Okay, guys, if you want to turn this into a probability, you are gonna guaranteed go 1 plus 99, right? I hope that all of you know that that's gonna be something out of 100. Always, if you're turning odds to probability, you have to add the denominator. Add those numbers to get your denominator. So this is the total. Which number goes at the top? If it says the odds against the book being available, that means that this is available and this is not available. Because it says against being available. So available is on the right side. So this would be 99 over 100. So your correct answer is D. Okay. Let's keep going. Vehicle finance. Okay. Omar buys a new car with a price of $21,800, and here are the following options. Calculate the cost after tax of purchasing this new vehicle if he receives $3,000 for a trade-in. What was my formula again? New is equal to what did I tell you? What's that word again? Ticket price, right? Sticker, sorry. Sticker. Sticker minus trade times 1.12. Thank you, Kim. Sticker minus trade times 1.12. That's what I gave you. Let's do the sticker first. Do you remember what sticker is? It'd be base plus options plus what's that? Shipping, freight, plus AC tax, something like that, right? That's your base. In this case, it's 21,800 plus I'm going to add the 1,000 and I'm going to add the 800. Okay, so that's 22,800, 23,600. I think you get a mark for that part already, the 23,600. And now I'm going to calculate, I'm going to say 23,600 minus the trade-in, and it's times 1.12. So that'd be 20,600 times 1.12. And what is that? This is still the days when it was 13%. That's another thing that might throw you off when you look at the key. Taxes used to be 13% for a couple of years there. 23,072. Again, you didn't, I think I overdid it. If you just knew, I'm going to add my options, then I'm going to take away the trade-in, multiply by 1.12, you're good to go. Yeah.
For this, I took away the trade-in and then added the 1,800. Would that still win?
Still fine. You get the same answer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. My formula is just my formula. It's not, you don't have to necessarily stick to it. Yeah. Next, shouldn't take you long. State one disadvantage of buying a used vehicle. Not as fuel efficient. Not as safe. It just says state, right? So you know it can be short and sweet. You don't have to like write a paragraph or a line, okay? Higher maintenance costs. Anything else? It's harder to customize, right? There's lack of customization features. Harder to customize. Because when you buy it brand new, you can just like say, I want all these things, and it just comes built in. Let's see if the may not have warranty. May not have warranty. That is huge. Okay. Oh, hidden damage. What is an advantage? What would be an advantage of a used car? Lower depreciation costs, right? Cost less to insure. Things like that. Let's keep going. Michael's purchasing a new vehicle. The price of the vehicle is $30,000. It will depreciate 20% the first year. Calculate, so you have to show some work, the value of the vehicle after the first year. So this is depreciation where you go 30,000 times 0.20. So you lose 6,000 the first year. You subtract 6 from it, and you end up with 24,000. That's it. You never have tax questions on these, so do not add taxes. So you get 1 mark for this, 1 mark for having a 24,000 show up. Keep going. I know I'm going faster, but I told you do this at home, right? Manhattan is considering leasing a vehicle for a courier company. State 2 reasons why she should not lease the vehicle. Limit on kilometers driven. Mileage restriction would have been mileage restriction. Another one, may have to pay for excessive wear and tear. And yes, it's okay if you go out of the lines, guys, it's okay. May have to pay for excessive wear and tear. What's another one? You can't just get out of the lease without a penalty. Tear, sorry. May have to pay penalties for getting out. Lease early, or you can say it's more difficult to get out of the lease. You can't just get out of the lease. What would be some advantages? Let's do that quick. If they're always newer cars, there'd be lower maintenance costs. What's another incentive for leasing as a business? You remember the tax write-offs? Yeah. Potential tax write-offs. You can say lower payment versus financing. So if you compare it to financing, you pay less. So these are advantages, right? Just to make sure you understand that, those are advantages, not disadvantages. And again, this is all recorded, so I will post this later on. Let's keep going. Sorry guys, I know. The fuel economy of GNS vehicle is 7 liters per 100 kilometers. By the way, the lower this number, the better your car is on fuel, right? But this one uses 7 liters every 100 kilometers. He's planning to drive from Winnipeg to Toronto, a distance of 22,300 kilometers. Sorry, 2,230. 2,230. Determine the total amount of fuel in liters required for the trip. If you need to calculate this, just go 7 liters over 100 kilometers. And then you're going to figure out X number of liters for a distance of 2230. That's the best way to solve these ones. You cross multiply and divide. You always multiply, then divide. 2230 times 7 divided by 100. And that is 156.1. Determine the cost of the trip if fuel is $1.30 per liter. In this case, you would just go fuel times cost per liter. That's all you would do. So you'd go 156.1 liters times $1.30. That's it. No taxes on fuel, because when you pay, whatever you pay at the pump is already taxed like crazy. There's like a bunch of taxes. Federal government, provincial, municipal, like there's lots of taxes in your fuel prices. So that's it. Let's keep going. Oh, they snuck in another loan question there. That's interesting, that they make you do the table a bunch of times. Alicia is purchasing a new vehicle for $24,000 after tax, so this is already taxed. She's financing the vehicle for 4% over 5 years. Calculate Alicia's monthly vehicle payment. It's the same as the other formula that I gave you. You go price minus down times table over 1,000. And where does 1,000 come from? It comes from right here, per $1,000 borrowed, right? That's why this is always 1,000. There's no down payment again? That's interesting. Again, I haven't done these in a long time. So 4%, 5 years. I don't do every single exam every year, right? I just pick random ones. Again, you get a mark for this table rate, and then you get another mark for calculating this. If you do that, you get 442.08. Sorry, couldn't see that, could you? Oh, they put a twist on this one now, though. Or not a twist, it's just you have to be careful. Calculate the total amount of interest, right? Total amount of interest, not just the first month, but this is what we call in our formula total interest. You will pay over the 5 years. Total interest, you take whatever you, listen carefully, whatever you get after subtracting the down payment, okay? So this is the loan, okay? So how do you find TI? You take your payment, you multiply it by 12 months, and in this case, 5 years. So you will get how much you paid them over the 5 years minus whatever the loan is, which is in this case $24,000. But keep in mind there was no down payment. Could have been less than what the car was purchased for originally. This gives you $26,524.80 minus $24,000, which ends up being this much. $2,524.80. Way to go, guys. Write down as much as you can, or work through it if you feel like you got it. Keep going. 19. Julie is moving from rural Manitoba to Winnipeg for her job. Her insurance broker, that's just a place that provides you with the insurance, will now be more expensive to insure her car. State why Julie's premium will increase. because her place where she lives is different. I feel like this one is vague, so you try to come up with something. You could say that there's a higher traffic, right? There's more traffic. Sorry. There's more traffic in the city. Which is a higher risk of making a claim. Okay, I'm looking at the key from the province here. I think that they misled students by saying state, because state doesn't need a whole lot of explaining. I think they should have said justify, explain. So this is one that came to mind right away. You could have also said she may have decreased her deductible. It could be that that's what she did. Or she may have increased the third party liability. Try to remember this one, like, you know, at this age you like to party a lot, so like insurance, party, hey, third party liability, there we go. So third party liability is, right, if you cause damage to the place that you maybe drive into, you damage their goods, right? Julie retires from her job and wants to continue driving her car. State what she can do to decrease her premiums. What can she do? She can decrease the third party liability. Don't use that on the exam, please. Don't go TPL, but we're going to do that. She can increase her deductible. Please don't say she can move. I don't think that would be something they would be looking for. You remember the 3 types of insurance? You can have all-purpose, layup, or leisure. Can she pick layup in this case? No, she wants to continue driving it. All-purpose is the most expensive one. But switch, right? Switch to leisure perhaps. Pleasure, leisure, right? You're only driving it every once in a while. You're not going to work all the time. Hence the word retiring, okay? So you could say that. You could say opt out of loss of use. I don't know if you remember that. Loss of use is if you get a rental, if you get into a car crash. You know what you could have said in the A? She may have gone into an accident and been at fault. That's why the premiums increased. You could have done that. So just make stuff up. Okay, we're going to leave it there. We have geometry and trig, precision measurement, and stats. So this is your homework. If you haven't done it, listen carefully. If you haven't done it, you're doing the second part. Whatever I haven't done today, you do that for homework. And some of you did all of it. If you did all of it, maybe go back to the 2 booklets that I already gave you over the break. And if you've done those as well, come and see me. I'll give you the next best thing here. I have another exam for you if you want it. Okay, thank you. To be continued.